What's going on, everybody? Welcome back over the Octagon podcast. Little bonus episode this week um, with our boy Joe Skeletor Giannetti, who has a fight coming up February 24th,
21st.
21st, February 21st, um, in Boston, Massachusetts, at Fenway.
MGM Fenway. Yes, sir. It's connected right into right field of Fenway Park.
That's crazy. So I didn't even know I didn't even know that place existed, and then I'm seeing all your guys' posts like fighting at Fenway. I'm like, fighting at fucking Fenway. I'm looking at the venue. The venue looks awesome.
The venue's awesome, man. Me and my wife went there last year. We saw a couple DJs. We saw two friends over there. The show was insane. So I kind of got a little early preview of the venue. So it was nice
Okay.
getting to see it now that it's like empty and that like we're gonna fill this place.
So you've been in there. Have you been in there? I saw you guys did face-offs at
Yep.
Fenway Park,
Yep.
which
So
was which
so
was sick.
that's our balcony from our locker room.
Ooh.
So if we're in this giant, it looks like a ballroom. We're in this back room, and I took a couple videos. I'm gonna post on my YouTube soon, like just some behind the scenes stuff. But it's a giant ballroom looking area, and there's a bunch of glass windows and doors. And when you walk out those doors, it's that like over that patio overlooking right field of Fenway Park. Like you're right on top of the seats.
Wow.
It was surreal. It was insane.
That's sick. So this is a Cage Titans event.
Yep.
MMA on the card, obviously. Everybody and everybody that's listened to our show, you've been on a number of times now, knows you from the MMA world and karate combat, and
Yep.
this is a little side quest.
Yep.
Making your professional boxing debut in Fenway Park under the Cage Titans banner, against an opponent that you have a bit of a history with.
Yep.
So, first off, well, I guess not why boxing, because like a fighter's a fighter, but like,
Exactly.
how did it come to boxing? Because he fights MMA too.
Yeah.
So, like,
So
what,
so Cage Titans, they have Ring Titans going on, and they've got Grappling
yeah,
Titans, and they're always doing the Muay Thai fights, and they've done small glove Muay Thai, some kickboxing, and I've always wanted to box. I tell people all
yeah,
the time, like I think everybody around my age, every male has grown up like sitting on the couch with their dad watching Rocky and Rambo and like those manly '80s movies,
okay,
and like
yep,
even at like 5 years old, you don't think you're gonna be a boxer, but like you want to be Rocky, you want to be in there like punch it and shit. And coming into MMA, I grew up around other like pure boxers that were like giving me the work, and I've always just respected it as a sport. I've done pure boxing rounds plenty of times, and with more and more Ring Titans was getting going, and Cage Titans was posting about it. I just kind of started chirping in their ear. I was like, you guys should do some boxing fights, and they just kind of were like, that'd be kind of cool. And then they did another show, and I was like, telling you, if you do some boxing fights, like I'm down. I was like, and it doesn't have to be like two MMA fighters boxing. Like I'll box real boxers. Like I don't do anything just to do it. Like I want to be good at it, And I told Cage Titans, I was like, if you can find a boxer that's willing to box me, I'll do it. I don't care. And they kind of were, they liked it every time I said it. Every time I could see the interest, like more and more. They're like, you think people would watch that? I go, you have people watching Muay Thai. You didn't think anybody would watch that? I go, 100% people would watch boxing. Look where we live. And
right,
then I kind of my last LFA fight, I kind of had it almost like I didn't have an opponent, but I pretty much had a boxing match almost guaranteed for the December 13th Cage Titans card. And they were like, go do your LFA fight, stay healthy, and we'll get you a boxing fight. All right, cool. I go get poked in the eye.
yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. So I turned around, and then like a week later, though, I went to the eye doctor, and like a couple days later, I went to the eye doctor, and they were like, I'm sure it doesn't feel like it, but you got super lucky. This thing's actually healing phenomenally from what you've shown me from their ER paperwork. Finish your antibiotic ointment, and then I'll be happy to clear you. And I told Cage Titans, I was like, listen, I'll be clear by December 13th. And they were like, you really think your eye's going to be okay? I was like, I have an eye doctor that said I'll be okay. I was like, it's uncomfortable. I was like, it's still like not stings, but like it's like a cut. Like you could feel it healing when you put the ointment on it. But like my vision was never messed up like after the fact. And so like I went back to training that Monday. I just wasn't doing any sparring. I was hitting the bag. I was trying to grapple a little bit.
Right.
And so I was like, seriously, like try and make this happen for December 13th. And Cage Titans was like, it's a little bit different when we do boxing instead of Muay Thai. We got to make sure we have the right judges and refs. It's a little
True.
bit short notice, yeah. And they were like, so I don't think it's gonna happen. And I was pretty bummed because I was like, all right, I guess we're just going right back to MMA. And then the next day they text me and they're like, but what do you think about boxing at Fenway Park? And I was like, the hell are you talking about? And they were like, we're gonna do a show at MGM Fenway. And this was back in December. So I was like, I think I
Yeah.
was one of the first people they told. And I'm like, great. Now I got to keep my mouth shut for what, 3 months about this? Like, so I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I'm in. And I told them though, I was like, listen, I'm still an MMA fighter. I was like, if a big opportunity comes up for an MMA fight in January, I'm going to do it. And then I'll do the boxing fight, you know?
Yeah.
And I looked for some fights. No fights ended up coming my way. And then, of course, I took the boxing fight. And Fury FC actually offered me a fight, an MMA fight for the same exact date. And I was like, unfortunately, I'm locked into a boxing fight. It hurt me to say no to an MMA fight, but you know,
Yeah.
a commitment's a commitment. And I am excited about boxing, you know. So I got this boxing fight coming up, and after that, we're right back to the main quest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. So so let me so your last LFA fight,
Yep.
nasty eye poke.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Your eye looked crazy.
dude.
Your eye
It
looked
looked
fucking
the best way
crazy.
I could describe it, especially from like Tyson Chartier got that video. That was right in the
Mhm.
locker room right after the fight. It
Yeah.
looked like a small animal bit my eye. Like
Yeah.
it stung like that too. It hurts so bad.
So what did you have like a cut on your
So
eye?
you can still kind of see it. I don't know if it's gonna scar, but there's like it's tough to see, but there's actually like a little bit of scarring like in the shape of his eye, his fingernail in my eye. And like,
Ooh.
yeah, I didn't know eyeballs scar, but apparently they
Me
do.
neither.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so apparently I'm gonna have like a fingernail scar on my eye, you know?
And then
But
so when you're treating that with ointment, you're putting ointment like on your eyeball?
yes, and I didn't know that was a
Fuck that.
thing. So when I was in the ER and they're doing all these eye drops and all these like looking at my eye, looking like inside my eye, testing the pressure and
Right.
stuff. I've done eye drops before, like no big deal. And
Yeah.
she comes back with one more little tube and she's like, I just got to put a little bit of this on your eye. I'm like, oh, like another eye drop? And she's like, no, like an ointment. And I'm like, oh, so like an eye drop? And she's like, no, it's
Like
ointment. And I was
ointment.
like, what the fuck are you talking about? And yeah, she opened it
Ugh.
up and it's an ointment, man. It's like gel, it goes
Right.
over and it glosses over so everything gets blurry. She's like, how's that? And I was like, I couldn't see,
Can't
it was all
see
blurry.
shit.
So she's like, how's that? And I'm on the table, I'm like, I can't see. She's like, that's normal. I was like, you couldn't have told me that first. Like
Yeah.
I was freaking out. And she was like, it's pretty much like Neosporin for your eye. We're just making sure
Right.
it doesn't get infected and helps with the healing process. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I've never done this before. This is wild. And then they prescribed me a tube of it and they were like, take this for the next 4 days. Just to make sure there's no infections. And then when I went to the eye doctor, I brought it with me. I brought all the paperwork, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm glad they gave you that." He goes, "A lot of people don't take that when they see that there's no major injury. They don't put anything on it, and it ends up getting worse." They go, "So
Getting
I'm glad
worse.
they did that." And then he told me he was finish the tube, then come back and I'll clear you for your fight and for your next fight. And I was like, all right, awesome. And then the ER nurse and my eye doctor both said the same thing. They were like, I'm sure it doesn't feel like it, but you got so lucky. Like the tiniest bit closer to the center of my eye. And they both said we'd be having a different conversation outside of fighting, just like
Right.
normal
Yeah, your
vision.
vision.
Yeah, just normal vision. And honestly, like that was the scariest part was like, it was like my eye was spasming obviously in the moment and I couldn't see that well. And then like afterwards, it was like after the fight, we're in the back room, I could see a little bit better, but it hurt. And that was kind of really, you know, obviously the fight had already got called off. I was just in the back room and that's all I was thinking is I was just like, please don't take fighting away from me. Please don't take my vision away from me. Like, come on. Like that would just be the worst, you know, inside of my career and outside of my career, like not like
Yeah.
this. And so that was like the scariest part. And
Did
you know,
have you ever been poked in the eye in a fight before that?
a couple times. I'd probably say maybe one or two other times, but it's just usually kind of like a little glance, like a scrape down almost. But that was like
In the
in
eyeball.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like because
Because you have
he
how many professional MMA fights? Like 20 something?
25
Yeah. So it's
and
kind of like, and as much as we see them, it's like I'm like I feel like this would have had to happen to you.
yeah, unfortunately, you know what I get? I get kicked in the nuts almost every fight.
Yeah.
You know, like so. Oh, the one that I got before was the Barrett fight. He kicked me in the nuts and poked me in the eye, and that was leading into this fight. That was one of the biggest things that I learned from the Barrett fight. You know, you get 5 minutes. That eye poke was really bad. It was the last, I think, minute or 2 minutes of the fifth round. And, you know, I was so pissed off, and his corner was chirping so much. I was like, fuck it, get me in there. Like, I'm going to go finish this fight. Like, I'm going to finish this. And then the ref was like, you're good. And I'm like, I'm good. And the ref stepped out of the way. And the whole, I think it was the left side, the whole left side was all blurry. And I was like, oh, shit, I can't
Yeah.
see. So I started trying to like corral him to get him over to the other eye. And so then when my last opponent poked me, I was like, we're taking the whole 5 minutes because it hurt. And then they gave me a rag, and I was like, let me just like hold
They
it.
gave you like a bag of ice or something, didn't
Honestly, yeah, honestly.
What the fuck was that?
Never seen that before.
No.
It felt amazing. So many people were giving them shit to me. They're like, dude, why'd they give you ice? I'm like, I have no idea, but it felt so nice. Like, I don't know if it like slowed down the spasming or what, but he's like, do you want ice? And I was like, sure. I was still so kind of confused of what just happened. And I'm holding the ice, and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. And then I put the rag on it, and I picked up the rag, and I saw blood, and I was like, please be cut. And I felt around my eye, and there was no cut, and I was like, shit, that's from my
crazy.
eye. Yeah,
from your eye. Yeah,
it was insane.
I just never saw that. We watched it live together, like all the boys watched it live together, and that's immediately. Because we, you know, like you're like us, we watch everything.
Yeah.
So much MMA. I've never seen anybody have a bag of ice. Like
never.
And so like immediately we were all like, what the fuck? Can he do that? Like,
yeah, it was wild.
Are you allowed to do that? But they're like, well, they gave it to him, you know?
Exactly. I was like, the referee and the commission all offered it, so I'll take it. Anything that'll help. But
yeah,
dude, that was one of the most like surreal, almost like outer body experiences. Because I was telling my buddies afterwards, they were all laughing at me. I was like, when it first happened, like the finger first went deep in my eye, I remember I turned and I dropped. And I remember being on the ground, and I was like, and sometimes you don't know if the ref's going to see that. And like, if he's going to think it's a punch and that I got dropped. And so like, I'm on the ground, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the ref saw. I don't know. Like, cause sometimes you think you got poked and it's a punch. Yeah. And so I'm on the ground, and I'm like, you bitch, get up. It didn't hurt. And then the ref goes, stop. And I went to open my eye, and it wouldn't open. And I was like, no, he definitely poked me. And then I was trying to like get my wits together. And the ref was like, do you want a towel? And I was like, what? And he's like, a towel for your eye. I was like, sure. And then I got to my feet, and it was just like, you know, crowds trying to figure out what's happening. My opponent's like trying to run over and apologize, and the ref's trying to back him up. It was just a lot happening. And I'm just like trying to figure out how bad did he just poke me? Because it was a pressure when he pushed it. It like pushed my eye. It was like a weird like migraine pressure. It was wild.
I like the way they handled it though. Like they gave you the whole. Now, obviously, like the fight got called off anyway, which sucks.
Yeah.
But like taking the time after an eye poke should be like standard. Like every fighter, it's a lesson for every fighter. Like we see it too much where they're like, all right, you good? All right, you good? They're almost like pressuring you into like getting back and starting the fight again.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then people are just kind of like, all right, yeah, I guess, like, yeah,
you get in there,
I'm good.
like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and it's like, fuck that. You get 5 minutes. Take fucking 5 minutes. You didn't poke him in the eye. He poked you in the eye.
I had a referee once, and I like him as a guy, so I'll leave him unnamed. But you might be able to see it if you go back and watch some of my fights. I got kicked in the cup in one of my fights, and it was like one of those, like, felt it up in my stomach immediately, and I keeled over. He stopped it. He came over, and he was like, you got time, give it a minute. I go, all right. And I'm like, I'm bouncing. I'm shaking it out, like trying to get out of my stomach. And he goes over to my opponent. He goes, I know it was an accident, whatever he said to him. And he comes back over, and he's like, hey, Joe, remember, nobody came here to be all night. And I was like, what? And he's like, nobody's here to be here all night. And I was like, okay.
Fuck you, dude.
I was like, my nuts are in my stomach. I'm like, come on. And then like, he kind of walked away, and I was like, I guess I'm good. And like, I still kind of felt it in my stomach, but they didn't hurt anymore. And I was like, all right, I guess we're just back to the action. And I tell people that story all the time because I'm just like, that's just the most wild thing to say. Like, I get it. Like, you want the action. You're a ref, whatever. But like, dude, I just got kicked in the cup. Give me a second.
But this is like the fine line, like that a ref plays in just enforcing the rules. That's really all you're there for, is to keep the fight clean. Let the guys do their thing. Keep the fight clean.
Yeah.
And like recently, because the sport's gotten so much bigger and people offer so much more input, like recently referees now are like dictating the pace of the fight.
Yeah.
They're dictating where the fight goes, standing people up, separating. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. And then the thing is like that's so like that changes from ref to ref. No
And that's
ref
the
is
tough
going to
part.
view that the same way.
And I try to tell my guys that I'm training, like I got guys that want to fight one day, and I try to tell them that I'm like, listen, it's one thing I've learned throughout this whole thing is like you could train to be the best in the world, and then you get a referee that changes a fight, or you get a guy that cheats and he didn't get caught. You know, my
Hmm.
last couple MMA fights, I've had opponents doing some dirty shit, and
Yeah.
like it takes I'm not gonna lie, it takes everything in me not to be like, all right, I'm just gonna, you get a free one, or you get a couple free ones. Like, my fight before my Jose Ferrer fight, my Dakota Bush, he's a great guy. It wasn't the cleanest fight I've ever fought. But like referee watched it happen. He told me he's keeping his eyes on it. He didn't want to do anything about it. And I'm just like,
Was that
that's
hands in the glove?
it was hands in the mouth, elbows to the back of the head.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
my fans, my fans get rowdy sometimes. They were like cheering for me, and then it changed to like ref, elbows, back of the head. And
Yeah.
he was like, I'm watching, and then he like fish hooked my mouth, and I was like, ref, and he's like, keep fighting, I'm watching. And I'm like, do something then. And then
Right.
my wife took a picture the next morning, and like she was kind of mad at me. I wish we took it the night of the fight. I had like a bruise. I posted it in the center back of my
Yeah.
head, and I'm like, he hit me with like 3 or 4 of those, and I'll never forget. Like the first one, I was like defending the back. I'm thinking of, like the Dufour fight. I was like, this motherfucker's not choking me. And then
Yeah.
I just get my bell rung, and I was like, what the hell did I just get hit with? And then he
Yeah.
started reaching around to punch me in the face, and it didn't hurt. And I was like, dude, that one shot he hit me with was hard. And then it was again, and I was like, that's the back of my friggin' head.
Right. Yeah. It's I don't know, man. Like I almost feel like referees have like too much, like a little bit too much say and power. Um
What sucks to me is you can't go back and fix a mistake because, like, I look at the Jose fight, and obviously he didn't try to do it on purpose. He was super apologetic about poking me in the eye.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like when you watch the fight, and even I saw it in the fight, he was very active. Whenever I'd step in, he would try to keep his distance by extending his fingers.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of referees. I forget his name. One of the referees for the UFC is very vocal. And I remember he refereed me on the Ultimate Fighter, and I'm very like bouncy, hands out, and he was like, watch the fingers, fingers up." And I like in my head, I was like, all right, dude, I get it. I'm being good. My fingers are up. Leave me alone. But
Yeah.
some guys need that. And if you go back and watch my last MMA fight, every time I stepped in, he would put his fingers out.
Mhm.
And what ends up happening is I throw a check hook as I step in, and I hit his shoulder. So his hand ends up moving in front of me and then goes into my eye. And
Right.
everybody's like, oh, well, it's an accident because you hit his arm. And I was like, yeah, but if his fingers went out, I would have ran into a punch or at least a fist and not gotten my eye poked in. So it's like
Yeah.
it's still an accident, but like the referee should be enforcing the fingers extended. Like that's the rule. Don't extend your fingers. So
Yeah,
it's like
right.
it's tough.
Yeah, the eye poke thing's obviously been like a hot button
Crazy.
topic way more recently. I mean, anytime a heavyweight championship fight in the UFC's ended by eye poke, and then it happens, and then all, different refs ref it differently.
Yeah.
So like that's the issue in my eyes. Like I don't care whatever they decide to do and how they decide to handle it, fine, but it needs to be the same across the board everywhere and every referee. We can't have
Yeah.
different referees with different rules and
Because it's almost a
enforcing
different
them
fight.
different. Yeah, and like they decide when to take a point, and like anymore like I mean, it's kind of fucked up to say, but like I'm just going to kick somebody in the dick.
I saw a reel this morning, and I've told people for years about this
I
because
get a free one, right?
my coach used to joke about that. My old coach when I trained at South Shore Sport Fighting, and it's a joke that I've heard in many MMA gyms. You get one. And I saw an Instagram reel this morning, and it was a team I had never seen before. Don't mind my cat; he's obnoxious. Um, but I saw a team this morning. It was like a kickboxing class, and the guy was being funny. He's like, "Guys, so the best technique that you can only do it in a fight, and you can only do it once." And he was like, "If your guy's really peppering you, and you can't find your distance, and da 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 da," he goes, "Step in, lead leg, inside leg kick, right to the cup." He goes,
Yeah.
"You'll get 5-minute break. You're tired. He's picking you apart. Now you got up to 5 minutes to take a break." And everybody laughs. And like the head coach was like, "Get out of my
Yeah,
gym."
but
Like,
shit's real though.
yeah, but exactly. But that's real. And that's the only reason that reel did good on Instagram because everybody that fights was like, haha, that's funny. But that's true.
Yeah.
And it sucks because, like I said, I've had multiple fouls in one fight over multiple fights, and never have I don't think I've ever had an opponent get a point taken. And don't
Yeah,
get me
so
wrong,
like
I've kicked people in the groin before by
yeah,
accident, so I get
yeah.
it. But I've had eye pokes, fish hooks, groin shots, all of it. I've had multiple in a single fight and no points taken. And it's like if you kick me in the groin and then you poke me in the eye, it's 2 different fouls. I'm not saying you should take a point,
Right.
but there's got to be something. Like, I
What do
don't know.
you
It's tough.
think? What do you think? Because I almost lean towards. I think they should take a point on the first one. Like, I don't think you should get one at all. Like,
I agree.
I understand accidents happen. And kicks to the cup are tough because like guys are moving.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. It's tough. But eye pokes, especially, like, if you know for a fact, like, if I poke him in the eye, they're taking a point away, then you're not going to be doing this. It's going to be
Exactly.
like this.
And
Everything's
and
going to
I
be like
agree.
this.
I've said that for a while too. Like, it's every other sport. What happens when you get a foul? All right,
Yeah, it's a
2 shots,
penalty.
2 shots at the line, or a
Right.
5-yard penalty off the rip. So does anybody in the NFL try to sneak one in?
All right,
No.
wait, hold on. You're on to something here. 2 shots at the line in the NBA, right? When you get a foul.
Yep.
Okay. In MMA, if you get
I like where this is going.
okay, if you get fouled, if your opponent pokes you in the eye, you have to toe the line like in bare knuckle.
Oh
But
my.
they can't do anything.
Oh
So
my
you get
god.
one crack.
I'm in. I'm in. I would be knocking dudes out left and right because I'd be on that line every fight.
Yeah. Like, all right, fuck it. Here. There's
Yep. Here's your
you
one.
get one free crack.
Yep. I'm in.
If they knock you out, fight's over.
Yep. I'm with it.
Dude,
I
that'd be
mean,
crazy,
that would be
actually.
nuts. But then again, everybody would be terrified to foul. And
Yeah, I'm not
you would
right.
actually see it you see it on NBA players' face. When they get a foul and it's fourth quarter, they're like, "Oh, damn it." Like, they roll their
Yeah.
eyes, like, shit. What happens when an MMA fighter gets a foul? My bad. I'll go over here.
Yeah.
Like, they
Yeah.
care. They're not
Take a
trying to cheat.
breather.
Yeah, they're not trying to cheat, but they're not too upset about
It
it.
doesn't really hurt them, and there's no negative consequence, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. I don't know. I will see. Like, shit changes so much, and like, in the grand scheme of things, like, the sport is still so new
Yeah.
compared to other sports, and like even football. Like, football's rules change every year.
I know. It's
They
not the same
adjust
sport it
them.
was, yeah.
No, they adjust them all the time, and I have a feeling like MMA will be the same way, and other combat sports will be the same way. All right, so but let's talk about the boxing thing. February 21st,
Yes,
MGM
sir.
at Fenway, against Lally. You told me about how that kind of came in. So, like, what is the? We are what? You're about 3 weeks out.
3 weeks
A little
out.
less than 3 weeks. What's the training camp like for boxing? Like, what are you doing differently? How are you preparing for this fight differently than how you would kind of prepare for, a normal MMA fight?
Um, it sounds so crazy, but me and all my buddies and my teammates joke about it. I'm wrestling more. It's I'm telling you, man, wrestling is the greatest sport in the world. It's the hardest sport in the world, and, like, yeah, boxing and kickboxing and MMA cardio is different, but
Yeah.
anybody that's wrestled knows, like, if I can wrestle, like, forever for the whole hour session we're wrestling, I can box forever. Of course
Mhm.
I'm doing plenty of pad work, bag work, like sparring, just boxing,
Yeah.
but, like, I'm still an MMA fighter, and I'm
Yeah.
not taking anything away from my training. I'm just adding on to it. Like, I'm still doing MMA practice with the New England Cartel. I'm still doing jujitsu, gi and no gi. I'm still doing wrestling, and now
Yeah.
I'm just adding some boxing sessions in. Maybe some. I'll do kickboxing rounds, but then I'm just adding in a couple rounds with some boxing, specific stuff. I'll do some footwork drills, some head movement drills,
Mhm.
because, like I said, I don't need to take anything away. I just need to fine tune towards boxing. There's very little
Yeah.
things that I would do in MMA or kickboxing that I wouldn't do in pure boxing, and so I'm making sure that those become like muscle memory and habits. And it's fun. It takes away from the grind of, like, by Thursday, Friday, you're like, oh, I'm so
Right.
tired. I just want to rest, because Thursday, Friday now we're doing a little bit more boxing stuff. So it's like, oh, now I get to do, like, this new thing. I used to do plenty of
Yeah.
boxing rounds, and it's just made it more fun, and it makes it fun for some of my guys who, like, have never really done pure boxing rounds, because they'll do kickboxing or MMA striking, and now they're coming with me and doing pure boxing, and they're
Right.
like, dude, this is exhausting. And they're like, aren't your shoulders tired? And I'm like, oh, all the time. I just worry about it when I get home and I'm sore. I was like,
Right.
in the gym, I'll punch all day long.
What about what about the stance? So you have like a pretty unique kind of karate style almost stance in mixed martial arts when you fight.
Mhm.
What's the boxing like? Are you when you're sparring boxing rounds, is it like traditional boxing stance? Are you still kind of fighting with the same, bounce like you do in MMA?
It's a little bit of both. It's if
Little
anything,
hybrid?
yeah, it's like a little like my coach Justin Burrow would call it like the Russian boxing style, you know. There's a little bounce to my step, a little in and out. But you know, we're just sitting down on our punches a little bit more because if you pay attention to like my MMA striking, a lot of my stuff is leading into my kicks or leading into my takedowns. Now I can just sit on stuff and I can really plant when I throw. And now when I move my head, I don't have to worry about somebody kneeing me up the middle or kicking me off to the side. So it's
Right.
like I've really gotten to play around with my head movement. You know, and a lot of people say they like my head movement and I don't get hit a lot, but I'd get hit even less if I was just boxing because now I don't have to worry about as many tools. I got two things to make sure they don't hit me, and I just got to
Right.
get out of the way.
Right.
So it's been pretty cool, and I think when we first started training for the fight, I leaned a little too heavy into like trying like, all right, what should my stance be like? How much should I change it? But boxing, just like MMA, the best part is you don't have to be like somebody else. You get to be your own thing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you look at all the greats, everybody's trying to emulate them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're like everybody wants to be Muhammad Ali. Everybody wants to be, you know,
Tyson.
yeah, Tyson, Floyd Mayweather. But
Mm-hmm.
they're not being somebody else. They're being themselves. You
True.
know, like
Mm-hmm.
Tyson wasn't like shit. Who do I got to try and box like? He just boxed like
Yeah.
him,
He
and
just
it worked.
murdered people.
He just
Yeah.
murdered people. And so like for the first couple weeks, I kind of fell into that trap. Like, how should I do it? And I'm like, no, just box. You know, like obviously little things we adjust, but I'm being me. You know, so it's like I think that after I do this fight, I think a lot of people are gonna be like, damn, I'm gonna start boxing like Joe. And that's what I want, whether it's MMA or just pure boxing. It's like I want people to be like, damn, his style is kind of nice. Like I'm gonna try and emulate that.
So it is two MMA guys really in a boxing fight. Like what's the likelihood of like a Dylan Dennis Logan Paul situation or Nate Diaz situation, like somebody jumps guillotine,
I mean,
shoots a double leg.
if he buries his head in my waist, I can't promise I don't jump a ghillie. I mean, I
It's
don't think
always
it's just
it's
there.
kind of funny, but it's always like something that seems to happen when like MMA guys end up with boxing gloves on in a
Yeah, I'm
ring.
not even gonna lie about it. If he buries his head in my waist, I can't promise I don't jump a guillotine. It's muscle memory at this point.
Yeah, and well, actually, that brings up a. I didn't really consider this. So when Cage Titans does Ring Titans,
Mhm.
they have the ring.
Mhm.
That one of their last shows they did a bunch with the ring, and then mid show did a little intermission, swapped the ring out, brought the cage in. This card obviously is mixed as well. Are you you're the co-main event of the card?
Yes, sir.
So what are you fighting in? A cage?
Nah.
A ring? All right. So what does that look like? Do you know yet? Do they know? Like they're gonna
They
bring a ring in, take a ring out?
they know. I don't really know how they're planning on doing it, but I
The
told them,
logistics?
yeah, I told them my biggest thing about doing this was obviously no matter what we do, this is two professional MMA fighters doing professional boxing, but I want this to be as much professional boxing as it can be. Besides our experience in MMA, you know,
Right.
they were asking me how many rounds do you want to do? How long are the rounds? What ounce gloves do you want to fight in a cage? Do you want to fight in a ring? And I was like, no, this is professional boxing. I want 10-ounce gloves. We're gonna fight at 168 pounds,
Okay.
6 2-minute rounds in a
Okay.
boxing ring, like professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to win this fight and have people be like, oh, it's two MMA fighters in a boxing ring. It will be no matter what. But
No matter what. Yeah.
we're doing professional boxing. Like we're
Yeah.
not. Like as funny as it is, like, oh, I might jump a guillotine. Like I'm going in here to do professional boxing, and I think
Yeah.
that that'll
Yeah.
be the biggest difference. Is I think that Lally's going to be a guy who's just punching and not kicking and not doing MMA, and I'm going to be a guy that's boxing. And I think that'll be the biggest difference in the fight.
What's the size of the ring?
That
Do
I
you
don't
know?
know either. I saw for my Dakota Bush fight, they had the ring down, and I weighed in that one. I believe it might be the same one. I don't know the exact
Yeah.
length, but it was a pretty good size.
I was about to say it looked like normal
Yeah,
size, didn't look small. I know they got a bigger
dude.
cage.
I'm so salty about that. If they had told me that first, I would have been like, "Fuck that boxing. Put me in that new cage."
Yeah.
I'm so salty about that.
Yeah.
They
I
dropped that on
mean,
me afterwards.
that's so necessary because that
100%.
cage that they have
Tiny.
is so small.
I explain to people all the time, like, I used to go early and feel out the cage. I would go dead center of the cage, I would get in my stance, and I would walk backwards until I hit the cage. In
It's like
my
2
stance,
steps.
3 steps.
Okay, yeah.
So, and granted, I have like a wider stance, but 3 steps and my back foot is on the cage.
Yeah.
Crazy. You don't see
Yeah.
that in any other organization.
No.
And you know, unfortunately nowadays, like I used to train for guys that were trying to kill me. Now I got guys that are just trying to lay on me. That
Yeah.
cage is not so friendly when that's the goal.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
so like now that we've got like a real octagon, like I'm hyped. I'm excited to get in that cage. You know, it's gonna be a big year for me this year.
All right, so you have this February 21st, Sean Lally boxing, 10-ounce gloves,
Yep.
6 2-minute rounds.
Yep.
What's the fight kit looking like?
Fight kit's drippy.
Yeah, so
I got
that
the
is one of
Hajime
the
no Ippo shorts. Yep.
okay.
And it's a little bit of 2 for 1, and my buddy texted me because I didn't even think about it. It's also kind of like Rocky from the first movie. We had the red and white shorts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit. It's kind of both of those.
Okay.
And then we're going with the red and white gloves.
Okay.
You know, and I've never been big on those boxing shorts that have like the feathers and the fur on the bottom and shit.
Yeah,
Mine's
yeah.
just classic red and white. My sponsors on the shorts.
Yep.
And then the walkout kit's not going to be anything crazy. You know, it's like I said, it's going to be real. It's going to be like a boxing.
No like Deontay Wilder,
No
like
Darth
fucking
Vader.
Iron Man
Yeah,
kid or whatever.
nobody's carrying me out on a throne, as cool as that be.
That would be crazy.
That would be wild. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to talk to some of my friends, see if maybe something will happen.
Yeah.
Gonna need a big chair.
That's kind of one of the cool things. Like there is some unique elements to boxing that you kind of lose in MMA.
Yeah, for sure.
With the kits and you know the shorts, there's a little bit more you can do with boxing shorts. Really, like MMA, it's pretty standard. But so that's always, and like the shoot, you know, you get different gloves and shoes. Yep. And
shoes are red and white as well. Those ones are nice.
Yeah, I think I might. Did you post something with those?
Yeah. So I got them in the mail last week. And I've used them a couple times just to break them in. They're a little bit different than wrestling shoes. I thought they were going to be like just higher versions of those. They're a little bit different.
Yeah, but they should be a little bit sturdier, right? Like a little bit more firm. Yeah,
they're firmer. The bottoms like towards the toe, they don't curl up at all with wrestling shoes because you're meant to for your penetration step.
Right.
But it was nice. You know, I've been really liking it. And then just, you know, boxing or sparring boxing with the girdle on to like get used to the movement and stuff.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, it's been a fun process though. Like it's been really cool. And like I said, it's a labor of love. You know, I love boxing. I love watching boxing. And now it's like I'm relearning this thing. I've done pure boxing rounds years and years ago when I first started training, but now I'm like learning. Like this is how you compete wearing a girdle. This is the boxing shoes. Like even the shorts are different. They're gonna be longer. They're gonna be like a little wider to fit the girdle in. So it's really cool. The whole thing's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, it's gonna feel a little bit different being in a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Different shorts, wearing shoes, bigger gloves, like competing in that is new. Right. Like every element of that is new. The boxing, the striking style, the sport itself may not be new. It's something you've trained forever, but all the different little, you know, kind of elements that go along with competing in professional boxing is different. And all that stuff makes it feel different, you know, so I'm glad that you're, you know, preparing with all that stuff as much as you can ahead of time. So it's not like you're not getting in there and like
shell shock.
My legs feel weird. I can't move like I normally do.
And that's like the fun thing, because like everybody's like, dude, is this like a new thing? Like you're gonna be boxing every now and then? Is this a one-off? I'm like, I don't know. It's a side quest. We go back to the main quest and we just take it day by day. So we get a little bit of experience being able to, you know, practice with all the gear on. And it's been funny too, like seeing some of the guys are like, you throw so many more punches when you're boxing. And I'm like, well, yeah, in MMA gloves, it's so much easier to slip a jab through here because the glove's only this big. Now I got a 10-ounce glove that it's not going to slip in as easily. I got to set things up better. I got to use more traps. I got to throw a lot more. And so like stylistically that changes a little bit. And I will say like my shoulders and my hips are getting a lot more cardio from that boxing round.
Yeah. One, you don't have kicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You don't have kicks. So it's like in MMA, like, you know, you set up, everything's set up. You have all these different elements to work with.
Yep.
You know, you set up, you use takedowns to set up punches or kicks or, you know, whatever, vice versa. It works all around. So now if you, like you said, you only have to worry about, you know, two things coming back at you, but you also really only have these two weapons to attack somebody with, it's a lot different in how you set up those attacks as well.
100%.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, dude. I saw it. I text Joel, or we were talking about it last night, and I was like, "This motherfucker's doing boxing. You know that?" And he was like, "Yeah, what's that about?" I was like, I don't know, dude. We're gonna find out, though.
Dude,
You
I
know?
still got buddies that are like, they'll text me every couple days, and I'm like, dude, I still can't believe you're doing like
Yeah. Why?
professional
Yeah. Are
boxing.
you doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
fuck it. Because like somebody asked me the other day, like, what's this gonna do for you getting back to the UFC? I'm like, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Right.
But like, not every fight that I've ever had progressed me to the UFC. I fought 7 amateur fights. I was undefeated as an amateur. That didn't help me get to the UFC. I went 0-0 when I was making my pro debut. Like, I fight because I like to fight. I fight because I want to be the best in the world, and this is only going to help my striking more.
Sure.
And maybe it doesn't progress my MMA career, but people are going to look at me different and be like, dude, this kid goes out and does grappling tournaments and he wins those. And, there's wrestling tournaments coming up around me this summer. I'm going to be keep competing in those too. Like, I want to compete in everything. I want to stay active, and it's going to only help me improve my MMA.
Yeah. And I mean, this is professional, right? So you
Yep.
are getting paid for this.
Yep.
Um, I don't, whatever, you can say whatever you want, but like, so is the payday for you under Cage Titans boxing like the same as what it would be for MMA?
It's it's not as much as I would make fighting an MMA fight for Cage Titans, but it's much more than anybody else would make making their professional boxing debut.
Okay. Yeah. So it's boxing. You're okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And that's really the thing too, is like, I don't know, I don't know how many people really think about it to this extent, but um, guys like in the pursuit of chasing their dream to make it, to the UFC, still have families and bills and all this shit to pay. Like, you got to make money. You know what I
100%.
mean?
100%.
So it's cool. It's like side quests. It's the same thing with like Karate Combat.
Exactly.
Um, but it's like it's a payday. It keeps you going. It still allows you to do this for a living, which that in itself really is an accomplishment that not like a very, very small percentage of people even achieve.
100%. And I'm still
You
even
know?
chasing that. I still work with my dad. I run the gym. I fight. I train.
Yeah,
I got a baby boy due in April, and
I
so it's like
know.
it's a crazy fucking year, man.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because I'm obviously a father of two, little girl and a little boy. Your wife is doing April.
Yep.
You got married in November of 2024.
Yep.
Um, I'll probably never forget that, just because I got married literally the week after you.
So crazy. That was so
Yeah. So that's gonna be like, I'll remember that for probably my entire life. As long as I know you, I'm gonna be like, I know exactly when but so now you guys got your first kid on the way. You have a little
Yeah.
boy. What's kind of the thoughts? Like, has anything changed mentally, and how so? Like, what's the thought process like throughout all this different stuff? Fighting, the gym. I mean,
So much, like so much. Like nowadays where it's just like, especially with social media and stuff and like all these like trolls online and people that don't know what they're talking about, like my name gets dragged through the mud on a daily basis. I mean, you can search my name in any day of the week and you'll find somebody talking shit about me. And I just used to care so much, and I've cared less and less as time goes on. Like if you went and rewound to like when I first lost the Ultimate Fighter finale, I used to be on Twitter like replying to everybody, just trying like not fighting, just not like shitting on people, just trying to explain like, dude, I had a bad day. Like, I promise I'm better than that. If the UFC brings me back, I'll be back. And then, like, there'd be some people like, damn, man, like, I get that. Like, my bad for shitting on you. And then there'd be other people like, no, fuck you.
fuck you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
lost 10 grand on a bet on you. And I'm like, I lost
Mm-hmm.
15, dude. I'm not happy either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so I've cared about that less and less. And then, as like, I took a year off after I lost during COVID at LFA, came back to Cage Titans, started knocking some dudes out, fighting tougher competition, beating them. A lot more people started backing me. A lot more people started hating me. And I find myself every once in a while like, no, because I want, when I get back to the UFC, I want to have the city of Boston behind me. I want to have New England MMA behind me, Cage Titans, all those people. And like I've just come to accept that like not everybody's gonna like you, and
Yeah, it's
no
not gonna
matter
happen.
it's just not gonna happen. And I just
Yeah.
had it's taken a long fucking time, and I've just had to get over it. And with my son on the way, it's like even more I don't give a shit. Like as long as he
Mhm.
looks at me and he's just like, "Wow, you're pretty cool,"
Right.
and like knows that like I take care of his mom, take care of him, and he's like, my dad's pretty cool. Like me and my dad, I love my dad. My whole like
Mhm.
we butt heads all the time. I don't know if that's just an Italian household thing, but we butt heads all the time. But like that's my guy. And so even if we end up butting heads like me and my dad, as long as at the end of the day he's like, this guy drives me fucking crazy, but like he's doing what he can and he does, and like outside of even doing what I can for him, like I want him to, people always, especially fighters, everybody's like, yeah, my kid's gonna be a fighter. I pray to God my kid doesn't fight. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to watch my kid fight. Like, and before we were expecting, we used to joke, and my wife used to always be like, as long as he doesn't play soccer or baseball, or whatever. And I'm like, no, no, you know how much they get paid? I'm like, he can
Yeah.
play those. I was like, I will sign him up for whatever programs he needs. He can play whatever. But my most important thing I'd want to say, because I think it makes me a little bit of like a black sheep in my family, immediate family and extended family, is like I want him to know that I'll back him whatever he wants to chase,
Yeah.
but it's gonna suck and it's gonna be hard and he's gotta bust his ass. But like if I can achieve my dreams, even though it's fucking hard and I'm always stressed out, like I want him to know that without me having to say it. And I will say it, but I want him to look at me and be like, damn, that was hard, but like my dad did it.
Mhm.
And so like that for me is just like every day when I'm in the gym, I'm like, fuck, I can't do this today. And I'm like, no, but he's gonna watch and he's gonna look back and he's gonna ask, why did you lose that fight? And I have to tell him like, oh, that guy was just way better than me. Or like, oh, I was a little lazy that camp. Or like, oh, I let the crowd get in my head and I didn't perform that great. And it's
Yeah.
like, what answer am I gonna be willing to give him? And
Mhm.
that's kind of like 24/7 on repeat. Not just about fighting, but about everything. He's gonna have questions. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to my kid. And I'm like, what answer am I gonna be okay giving him with? And that's kind of like the new driving factor.
I always have like hindsight now. The respect that I have for my dad after I've had kids is like almost unimaginable. Like the amount of respect I have for him is out of this world. And like I look back at certain things when I like throughout my childhood or whatever. Now I had such a shit ass attitude about stuff and was just a punk ass kid. And I look back at it now and I'm like, this motherfucker really was doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
And I'm
like
kind of getting that now and I'm not even in there yet. And I'm like,
right,
I'm looking back and I'm like, you fucking moron. Like,
right,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
It does give you a different appreciation, and I agree. Um, I don't, I, dude, I don't care about anything, like about what anybody says about anything, anybody's opinion about anything. What you like, I just don't. I don't. None of it has any effect or relevance on my life really at all. Only to the effect that I allow it to.
I think that
Especially,
was probably my biggest problem in my career. In any fight that I've won, lost, in between, I would probably say that that was my number one biggest problem, and I just
yeah.
don't fucking care anymore.
Yeah, the kid thing definitely changes it because the priorities shift. So like it's not even about you. It's
Mhm.
about it's about you to the extent that it affects him. So it's
Exactly.
like I really only care about myself because I care about them. So what do I have to do to better myself to better give them the better life? And
Exactly.
it's like if I'm doing that and I know I look now and I go, all right, my wife's good, my kids are good, they're healthy, they're doing good in school and doing good things, and like, dude, fuck you. What are you gonna say to me? Like my shit's
Yeah, like, why it
my
don't
life,
matter?
my life's fucking great.
Yeah,
You
like,
know,
I'm
like
killing it.
yeah, yeah, and that's really like what really matters in life. It kind of shifts. Um, all that stuff kind of changes. But I'm excited for you. It's the greatest, you know, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I know it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to most fathers.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like an unexplainable, awesome experience that like you just live through and you're like, you have these moments where you're just like, oh my God, like this is so fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it's wild because, like, everybody's asked like, "Oh, what are you thinking? Like, how are you feeling?" And it's just like, I don't know. I don't really express myself to too many people, and that's just like, even this is just like, I'm not even in here yet, and I'm like speechless at times. Like last night
Mhm.
we were watching the fights, and she looks at me, she's like, "In like 9 weeks, we're gonna have a baby, like right here," and
I know.
I'm like, "Whoa."
So due in April, they don't have anything announced for April yet, but you got to start thinking about what's the first fight you're going to watch with your son.
Oh, I might just have to play some replays.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Play
Oh
play
yeah,
a
yeah.
play a replay, but
Yep.
think about what's the first MMA fight or first fight that
Hmm.
that little Giannetti is going to put his eyeballs on. Now, his eyeballs, he's not going to be able to see the TV,
Yeah.
but it's fine. It's all about, you know what I mean? It's all
Yep.
about putting it in his brain anyway. I'm excited for you. I love watching this shit happen to people now too. Because it's just the great. It's just like it's the best thing ever, and it's for me like all I ever really wanted in life was to just be a dad and have that experience.
Mhm.
And now like I have friends that are having kids and just get to watch that, and I'm like, man, this is like it's such a cool experience.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a trip for sure, and it's like, it was. I told my wife, I was like, it's just like the wedding. We had a year to plan ours because that's when we picked our date, and I
right.
was like, oh, we got plenty of time. And then it was like 2 weeks before, and I'm doing final touches. I'm like, what the hell happened?
I'm getting
You know?
married next week. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like
Right.
same shit. Like last week, she was like, what happened to those last 7 months? Like where'd they go? I'm like, I have no idea.
I know. It flies, man. It really does fly. It's going to be cool to see kind of how you change as a person, as a fighter, like what is it, how everything kind of looks like cuz it is a game changer. Like
I
it
need
it
that Charles
does.
Oliveira dad strength. That's what I need.
Yeah. I mean it's that's real, right? Like
That's
that
all
is
I've heard
real.
is it's real. I've heard it's so real.
Yeah, it definitely is real. And it because it's a mental, as much as fighting is skill versus skill and physical attributes, like
It's
there
mental.
is, oh my God, it's so unbelievably such a mental game. And there's a huge mental shifts when you like really internalize the fact like, oh, I have this little human being, like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And just the way you look at the world that way through that lens, your whole mental kind of shifts about everything around you.
Yeah. I
And
just can't stop thinking about like, by the time he's old enough to ask questions and like watch my fights, like how old I'll be. Like I won't be fighting anymore by the time he's like 10, 11, you know what I mean?
right.
And just be like, he's gonna be on YouTube or whatever they're watching friggin' videos on by then, and I'm just like, yeah, you did that. I'm be like, yeah, I did. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. You have some highlights that he's
yeah.
gonna find for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, remember, I did that. So watch your tone.
Right. Yeah. What right. Right. It's that's awesome. So boxing, February 21st, just a little side quest, and then back to the kind of MMA game, chase the goals.
You'll see me back in the
This
cage real soon after that fight.
you already have something kind of in the works, it sounds like.
Yeah, you'll see me. I'm gonna be very active this year. I got to take some time when my son's born, but I'm gonna be very active this year.
Yeah, that'll be good. I think it sounds good that you have a lot of opportunity still. Fury FC, like that's another big promotion.
Mhm.
UFC Fight Pass promotion, big promotion, have some good fighters on under that banner as well.
Yep.
Still doing the LFA thing. LFA's one of the best.
I love them, and
Yeah,
like they love me, and I've said it when I fought back in March for them. Like I missed weight for them before during COVID, and they came in my neck of the woods, and I was one of the first people they hit up. So I'm blessed they gave me that opportunity, and obviously it was years in the making, and it was just like I've grown since then, and I showed it.
yeah,
So I'm really happy, and I'm excited that LFA, looks at me like I'm their kind of Northeast guy.
yeah, yeah. And then so let me ask you, what's up with karate combat?
Just it's tough, man, because I say to everybody, like, I love Karate Combat. I love President Awesome. I love them all. But it's just very, we just never really came to the same terms for, because they offered me a contract like the week after I fought Jenkins.
Okay.
But it was just tough because it kind of just came into like I got to bet on myself. They offered me probably the highest payday outside of the UFC that I've ever been offered. But it was a very restrictive contract. Like I could only fight for them. When I first fought for them, I was like, I would love to bounce and do like karate combat MMA, karate combat MMA, and then they have like the grappling in the pit. Like shit, I would even do grappling, karate combat, MMA, and just like do
Yeah.
it all. And
Yeah.
they kind of wanted me to just fight for them, like no MMA, no nothing,
Like an exclusive contract.
exclusive contract, and like the number that they gave me, like I said, highest number I've ever been offered outside of the UFC, but it wasn't enough for me to exclusively only fight for them. I'd still have to go to work. I'd still have to, you know what I mean? And, you know, we told them respectfully, like we gave them some numbers that they didn't want to pay, which is like whatever. But I told them, I was like, listen, for me to exclusively fight for a major organization, you know, they're trying to show that they are, and they're a great organization, but they're trying to
Yeah.
show that they're the one of the biggest striking organizations in the world. If
Right.
I tell people I'm a professional fighter in an exclusive contract under a major organization, I just don't want to have to go work overnights anymore.
Right.
That was my number. Super simple lifestyle. Give me this number and I'm good. And you know, their number, like I said, still a great number. If I was offered that number for MMA, I'd be through the roof because it was, you know, it was more than you make fighting locally, but it just wasn't enough for. And especially I like being active, and I was just worried that I wasn't going to get as many fights a year as I would like.
Yeah.
And they said that I would, but it's just, you know, when if it's not on paper, it's not true. So it's
So
just like,
and that's kind of, I have questions like they had an event back in the beginning of December,
mhm.
but they don't have anything announced. And like I'm kind of wondering like what I guess like what's going on with karate combat in general. Like I haven't really even heard of anything being planned.
I think they have something March, February, March. I think they have a card coming up within the next few months, but yeah, no, it's definitely like I feel like the promotion's a little bit about like the card, not exactly like every fight matchup.
Right.
Um I don't know. I mean, I'm not a PR person or an ad campaign person, but I feel like the promotion the promoting has changed a little bit more to like promoting karate combat and a little bit less than like each individual fighter.
Yeah.
Because I've had a bunch of friends say the same thing. Like, I feel like I don't see as much karate combat anymore. And don't get me wrong, I message them every once in a while. I'm like, hey, you want to throw me a 1 fight contract, or
Yeah.
you want to throw me a fight contract that's, you know, lets me do MMA still. Like, I'm in there, you know, because
Right.
they got guys fighting for their titles that I know I can beat. They've got guys fighting number one contender fights I know I can beat. The guy that just beat Brendan Jenkins I know I can beat. And I hate to just seem like that guy that's like, well, you could have signed the contract and fought me. And it's like, yeah, but I got to bet on myself. And I think that's one of my other biggest factors in MMA right now is these MMA fights that I'm taking, this boxing fight that I'm taking, I'm making less money than I would be making in karate combat per fight. Um,
Right.
but I'm much more active, you know, and I get to compete in the thing that I started this all for. Um,
Right.
and I think where I was in my MMA career too was also kind of a little bit of a factor because if I got locked down for karate, I was coming off the Barrett loss. And if I got locked into karate combat for 2 years, when I come out of that contract, I'm 31, still coming off of an MMA loss. It's a tough spot to be in the world of MMA.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, I got to kind of bet on myself and really double down on free
It
side quests.
isn't it is an unforgiving sport, you
100%.
know? Which you've experienced. Like I mean, you fought in the Ultimate Fighter finale as an undefeated professional prospect. Lose the finale and it's been like just this kind of uphill battle.
For sure.
It's an unforgiving it's a really unforgiving sport, and that's you see even now, even guys that are in the UFC, like you get guys in the UFC, they lose twice, and it's like
They cut Patchy, and granted, he didn't look great in his UFC fights, but like
I know,
two fights, like
I know, I know. I wonder how much of that was mutual.
it's yeah, I'm interested because he already has that other fight lined up, so I wonder if
Yeah,
he was kind of
like
already looking for it.
yeah, like maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah,
You know,
it's crazy.
it's a weird. It can be a weird environment, an unforgiving environment too. Like in that, yeah, because Patchy Mix, dude, they were everybody's so hyping him up
Dude,
coming
let me
over.
tell you, sitting in my living room with all my buddies and be like, "This guy, this is the guy."
Yeah,
Like,
you look
let
like a
me
dumbass.
Dude, I
I
look
know.
like an idiot, and I'm like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. I watch all of his fights. I know people that train with him. He's so friggin' good." And
Mhm.
kinda like, you know, and I mean, I fought in the Ultimate Fighter finale. I've been there. Kinda shit the
Mhm.
bed in his debut, and I was just like sitting there, and everybody was shitting on him, and I was just like, "Damn, bro. Unfortunately, I know exactly how you feel. Obviously, his is much worse, having so much more experience at the top of Bellator for years.
Yeah.
But, like, it was, like, it sucked to see, and, like, my friends looking at me like, "Yeah, all right, dumbass."
Yeah.
I was
This
like,
guy? You
"Alright."
talking
Yeah.
about this guy? Yeah. It's crazy. It's a totally different environment. Like if
Mhm.
you're not used to that, like it first off, if you're not used to a sold out arena
Mhm.
with 25,000 people, like it's a whole different beast, dude. It's
Yeah.
not the same fucking thing as, they're giving away tickets to Bellator fights, dude.
Yeah.
I still am on this like thing, like there's no one there.
No.
When I watch PFL and Dakota Decheva, who I think is one of the best female
That
fighters in the world, but like, is she? I don't really know because like,
that's what sucks, you don't know.
yeah,
'Cause you
and
see a
then
guy like Patchy, I never thought there'd be somebody that's just gonna mop him.
yeah, and then like for her, like it looks unbelievable, but like, what does that really mean? Like, where do you really fit in with the best in the world? And then like, first off, she's one of your biggest draws for that promotion. She's the champion, woman's champion. And as she's fighting, in the fucking frame of the camera behind her outside the cage, it's just empty seats.
It's so
And
crazy
I'm
to
like, what the fuck? Like, how is this successful? There's no way this can be successful. There's nobody there.
It's like
I,
some of these promotions are almost like trying to run like a virtual MMA promotion. Like, if we
yeah,
can post the clips on Instagram and we can get the YouTube
right.
clicks, like we look like we're with the UFC, and then they just can't get the asses in seats, even
Yeah,
though it might look the part. But then you watch the fight live and you're like, is that whole front row empty?
yeah. Like everybody, like there's no one there. I'm like, the fuck is going on here? And then
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's just so I always wonder. We've said it for a long time with like people coming over from those promotions. It hasn't been great. Like
Yeah.
even Pitbull, like Patricio Pitbull came over to UFC, same kind of thing. And Patchy Mix was probably the worst one because Pitbull's a little older, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit
Tough.
more
I mean,
understandable. Like,
Chandler's not anywhere near where I thought he'd be. I thought he'd be up there, man.
yeah, Chandler's a different kind of beast because like he's lost so much, but still has fought like the top guy. Like
Yeah.
he's still ranked in the top 10
Yeah, it's insane.
somehow. It's
Because
really weird.
he's a dangerous fighter, and, like, I think he's kind of accepted, and I mean, he said it, he's the most exciting man in MMA. I think he just kind of accepted that role, and he's like, "If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose, but it's gonna be exciting either way." And I mean, you can't deny the guy, it's true. He's
Yeah,
still
and
dangerous no matter what.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. Like even that role, like he's still making a shitload of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his name carries weight. He's still making a bunch of money.
People tune in.
So
People I don't even think watch MMA. "You see that Chandler fight?" I'm like, "What?"
yeah, yeah. So what do you think about you've been watching UFC, what do you think about like the new parent on Paramount Plus?
I like it. I saw somebody might have tweeted about it. Like, I don't know if it's their production and like the image is clear or whatever, but I like it. There's something about it just feels fresher.
Yeah.
The first one around, like the Gaethje Pimblett card, there was a lot of commercials, but a lot of
Yeah.
fights fell through. So they had like a lot of time they had to kind of kill,
It's
which I think
true.
was like their biggest argument against it. But I like last night, I didn't think it was too bad. I didn't think the commercials were
Yeah, I
anything
think they
crazy.
made some improvements
Yeah,
last night.
I think they actually listened to people, and I
I
saw other
know.
people tweeting that they were like, "Are they listening to us? Are they
Yeah.
changing for us?" Like, we saw in between rounds, we saw the corners talking, we saw
Corner
walkouts,
cams.
and I'm like,
Yep.
"Holy shit."
Yep. Yep.
But
You
it's
got
been good
corner
so far.
cams, got a little
Yep.
bit more walkouts, a little less commercials. And I don't mind the commercials. I don't mind advertisements. Like
Mhm.
I understand that like if I get every UFC event for $9 a month and no more pay-per-view. So like I'm not paying for a pay-per-view.
Yep.
ESPN Plus monthly subscription is more than Paramount anyway.
And then you had to buy the pay-per-view.
Right, and then you have to buy the pay-per-view. Like I don't get any of that anymore. So like when I get the corner cam, I get the corner cam fucking sponsored by Jimmy John's. Like
Yeah.
this corner cam brought to you by Jimmy
Yeah.
John's. Like that's all right. Okay, like
Yeah, "What's up,
okay.
Jimmy John's?" Like, "Maybe I'll give you a try this week."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm all
I'm
right with
cool with it.
that. Like I'm cool with some advertisement like that. I think the same thing. Like it's cool that there was like a shift, and then an hour earlier start time. Like we talked about this. In the beginning, it might have been right before we started, but like, yeah, it was over at midnight.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god. I
Yeah,
have
it
so
was
much
cool.
time.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it, and I have some because I think they did improve some stuff even from a week ago. I'm excited for like the future with Paramount. It was awesome. I didn't really see too many complaints last night either. I saw people making the memes and the jokes about the ads, but I didn't see any real complaints after last night. So
Nah.
I'm excited about it, and it's gonna. I said it all the time, like it's gonna be funnier because like I'm getting back there. It's happening,
Yeah.
and like I'm gonna be that guy that like some people are gonna be like, why do I know that guy? And then they're gonna play an old tough clip from me when I was 22, and they're gonna be like, this fucking guy, he didn't quit
Right.
yet. And I'm
Right.
gonna be like, yeah, I was on Fox Sports, now I'm on Paramount. Like it's happening.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's cool, man. I'm super excited. We're gonna tune in February 21st.
Yes, sir.
We'll make sure to buy the pay-per-view through Spectation Sports.
Yes, sir.
They still under Spectation Sports.
Yes, sir.
Um, not gonna go
Spectation
on.
Sports just announced their top 5 for lightweight,
Okay.
and there were some names I've seen in the cage before that I want to try and get some get back with. So
Okay.
that's what I'm aiming
Okay.
for.
What is their top five?
I don't remember who number 1 was, but he was undefeated 8-0. We can fight.
Okay.
Number 2 is Aaron McKenzie. I lost to him in a controversial decision, but I missed weight. So like that one's a fight I've been asking for a while. 1, because I thought I should have won, and 2, I kind of want to redeem myself, similar to the Bone situation, and
Mm-hmm.
be on my best night and make it definitive. Dakota Bush I think was number 3.
Okay.
I'd like to get that one back. I think he might have just done something with PFL though.
Hopefully, dude.
Yeah, I think he just did something with PFL, but if he ends up coming back around, I'd love to get one with him, maybe in a actual big cage. And then there's another guy above me that I've definitely seen before. I didn't really look him up at all, but I'll fight him.
I was not a fan. Like that Dakota Bush fight fucking sucked.
Dude, it
God,
was
that
so
was
bad.
like, yeah. I
I've
mean, I
never
can't imagine.
I've never talked to an opponent so much in the fight. Like I've just,
Yeah.
and then afterwards, like he
What are
was,
we
and
doing?
I said this before too, like he was a nice guy, I got no personal beef with him other than like fighting.
Yeah.
But like the fight ended and he dapped me up. He's like, thanks for taking the fight. And I kind of looked at him weird and I was like, I'm not afraid of anybody. You don't got to thank me. And then he was like apologizing. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I got tired. And I was like, okay.
Right.
I'm an awkward person as is. So then like we just got into like a fight and you're like apologizing because you got tired. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
It's weird. The one criticism, my biggest criticism of that thing. Listen, I totally understand getting the win. I totally get doing what you got to do to get the win, whatever that looks like. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to only get half their paycheck.
100%.
Nobody wants to lose. I get all that. But this fight between you guys is booked as like two guys that are trying to get back to a place.
And it didn't look like it.
Nah.
And that's what I
Nope.
think,
Even
and
from him though, like dude, you're like what are you doing? You know?
yeah, and I
Like
think
you
that that's the frustrating thing for me because, like I said, he's a nice dude and he's very clearly good.
Mhm.
But like I see, like I take that loss to him, right? He won every round very clearly, but it's like then these people like put him on this pedestal of like, is he the greatest fighter outside of the UFC at 155 pounds? And I'm like, maybe. What's your definition of great? Like, would you tune into him on a Saturday night? I wouldn't,
Yeah.
and that's just, maybe I'm salty that I lost, but it's like I know for a fact when I see that, I'm like, well, I know I can beat that guy, and not because he's bad, he's really good. I also think I can still beat him, but it's like I'm gonna try and beat him. Like the biggest shot of that fight was landed by me, and I didn't really throw it that hard. And
Yeah.
it really you could see it on his face. Where he's like, "All right, now we're gonna wrestle." And I was like, he's a great wrestler. I knew that was coming
Yeah.
anyways. And then he got my back, and he just controlled me. And then I was just like in awe. Um, and I commented on a post from MMA Fighting. I think they did an interview with Henry Cejudo about like stalling and all that stuff. And I commented on it and I was like, listen, it was the week after that fight actually. And I was like, I just lost a fight to a guy taking me down and holding me down on my back. I was like, and granted, and I tell people this all the time because my buddies are like, fuck that guy. He's this, he's that. I'm like, I made the mistake of losing the wrestling exchange. So
Sure.
I'm not fully in the clear. Like I'm accountable for part of it. There was things that
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
could have done better and I didn't.
Right.
But at the same time, I tell people all the time as a coach now that I see it more, if I take two guys to do a wrestling round and your goal is to not get taken down and your goal is to just get the takedown, this guy will never get the takedown because I only have to do one thing.
Right.
If I say take each other down, so now you're both on defense and both on offense, now you get this crazy scramble and scrap and all these things.
Yeah.
Well, he put me in that position where it's like, he's just going to hold me down. He's not going to do anything else. I just have to get up. I'm never going to get up. You're never trying to hit me. You're never trying to submit me. You're just trying to hold me down. And like, that's the frustrating part is it's like you're putting this one thing on the line and it's just almost impossible to do. And like I said, if I won the wrestling exchanges, if I had some better footwork against the cage, we wouldn't be in that position. But it's just
Yeah.
also like there's things I can control and there's things I can't. I can't control my opponent's intentions in the fight.
Right. Well, and it's like I said, I get it. Like he did what he had to do to win.
100%.
I have some respect for that. I lose a little bit of it when I'm thinking like, well, what the fuck are your goals here?
Yeah, I will say that, and this, I kind of sat with it for a week or two because like I fucking hate losing. That was probably the most okay I've ever been after a loss. I was upset, I was frustrated, but like the days after, even that night, like when I lose, we're not going to the after party. I'm going back to the hotel. I'm eating
Yeah.
pretzel M&Ms. I'm cracking a beer, and we're gonna watch TV till I fall asleep. I went to the after party. I saw my friends. I saw my people, and like I wasn't in high spirits, but like I was okay.
Right.
Because I know how good Dakota Bush is, and I know the type of game plan that I forced him to follow. He didn't just fight me. Like you watch Dakota Bush's fights, he's a bad dude. Like he's good.
Yeah.
But me, my style, my coaches, my teammates, we forced him to fight like that. And like it's a little motivating that, as salty as I get when they're like, is he the best guy outside of the UFC? It motivates me that I make these guys fight like that. And I'm like, once I stop you motherfuckers from laying on me, you are in. Because I'm not, win or lose, I'm not going in there to try and get a decision. I want to get
Yeah.
in, get my paycheck, get out. That's
Mhm.
it. And I also, for myself, I want to look back on my fights and be like, damn, that was sick. Like
Right.
I've got fights that I've won by decision that I've watched once or twice to break down and improve myself. I never watch again because I'm like boring. And they're like, no, you're striking, your head movement, you looked great. And I'm like, yeah, there was no finish. I don't want to watch it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I got plenty of highlights where I'm like, yeah, I did that. Like I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
still
think
going in there to win, but I want to finish people. I want to be
yeah.
exciting, and I
I I
obviously want to
think
win.
I think a decision wins fine. But like there's got to be some kind of like urgency to damage to inflict damage. And like
Yeah.
the tough thing with the UFC now, more so than ever before, but like now, like that's just like a win like that specifically is never going to get you there. In
No,
fact, it could hurt you. Like
100%.
that could hinder you. If I'm him, I'm hoping that they didn't see it.
Brendan Fitzgerald posted something the other day. He was like, I need you guys to know if you're outside of the UFC trying to make it, he was like, we are on Paramount Sports. This is an entertainment company. We are no longer
Right.
on ESPN. We're on an entertainment platform. Be entertaining, build a brand, have exciting fights. And I as well hate to hear that because sometimes you just have to dog it out. You get into a
Yeah.
war that you weren't
It's
expecting.
Yeah, and
It,
it's a sport. It's a fine line. Yeah.
exactly. And like, but that's just where the sport's going. And like a fight like that, as obviously a loss hurts me. It didn't crush my spirits. It motivated me more than anything. I don't know how much it did for him, if anything. Like you said, it could have hurt his chances. But yeah,
That's just my perspective. Like
it was a lot of people's perspective for sure.
yeah, because what I know, like you watch a contender series, right? You watch
They're
who
hungry.
gets contract, who doesn't get contract.
Mhm.
If that fight was on contender series, you win on contender series, but like they don't
Eh,
give him a contract for that win.
no, absolutely not. And that's the thing is like, it's like you said, it's that fine line and it's super tough. But yeah, it was, and I kind of got mad at myself for not being so distraught after the fight. Like like I said, I'm usually like, I'm immediately like breaking down the fight. I should have done this. I should have done that. And I still was. But like I said, I was able to go have a beer with my friends and like, guys, I'm okay. Yeah, I know he kind of was throwing some illegal shots, yeah, and then the next day I was like, why are you not more mad about this? Like you lost, like be upset. And I was like, I lost to a really good guy and I made him fight that way because he was maybe not in fear, but in so much respect of what I can do, and I'm
Right.
not saying Dakota Bush isn't good. He's very clearly one of the best guys outside of the UFC, but I made him fight that way. And that just, like I said, it's just made me okay with the loss. I'll never be okay with the loss, but not as I was
I
fine. I guess fine is the
Yeah.
word. I was fine.
Yeah, I
And
understand that.
it keeps me, it just keeps me in there. Like I'll fight anybody outside of the UFC. If Dana White walked into my house right now and was like, "This guy's 27-0, beat that guy and I'll sign you." Give me the contract. Like I'll fight him. I don't care.
You've trained with some of those guys before, so you know what that looks like anyway.
Exactly. I've seen some of the best in the world.
So, all right, man. Well, listen, I'm gonna let you go. I've held on to you for a minute, but it's always a pleasure having you on
Sure.
here. Um, you're my guy, dude.
I
So
appreciate you, bro.
no matter what, we're riding with you. February 21st, MGM at Fenway Park, professional boxing debut. Joe Skeletor Giannetti versus Sean Lally, co-main event. Main event, that card, Andrew Valdina. Good to see him back after a little injury and a setback. So good to see him back as well. We're definitely going to be tuning in.
Hell yeah.
And I can't wait to see what's next, man. Just keep getting after it. I like to see the GMA, the Giannetti Martial Arts.
A little cat fur on it.
Yeah, dude, it's fine. If I wear a black hoodie in this house, it's got dog hair, so
yeah,
it's all good.
Game over.
Yeah, listen, everybody, if you're listening, check Joe out. You can follow him, Giannetti MMA, on everything, I'm pretty sure, right? Giannetti Martial Arts now as well. The gym, check that out. Your boy, I got some rolls in on that mat, dude. I felt that, man. I like it over there.
Sir. Dude, that was still so crazy. I couldn't believe you were there. That was wild.
Yeah, I told my wife, and I'm sure I told you this before. Like I told my wife that day, we were in Rhode Island, so like an hour away. I look at it, I'm like, all right, we're an hour and 7 minutes away. Like, I'm like, if I show up, like it's gonna be random as fuck. Like, how random would that be to just show up? Don't tell nobody. So and I love it. I love that kind of stuff, and it's worth it, dude. I like to see, all the different fights, everything else you're doing, and then to kind of branch out in the gym. I know how big of a challenge that is in and of itself. So it's sweet.
That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, don't forget, follow Giannetti MMA on all social media platforms. Check him out. If you like Arc Raiders, my man's streaming that on Twitch as well. I'm about to dive into some of that as soon as we get up off of here. February 21st. Appreciate everybody tuning in. See you on the next one.